In the words of the great philosopher Bobby Carella, this sucks. We'll talk about how it does with the Mavericks and the Jazz game. All next year on the DLLS Mavs postgame show.
Wise words.
Hey, what's up, DLLS Mavs Nation? It's your man, Kevin Gray, alongside Mavericks beat writer Tim Cato, Mavericks analyst Bobby Carella, and our national NBA insider, Mark Stein. We are DLLS Mavs, your favorite guys covering your favorite team every single game night, win or lose, which the Mavericks apparently are doing too much of as of the last 4 games as they fall 115-113 to the Utah Jazz in stunning fashion. At Kevin Gray Sports, Tim_Cato, at Bobby Carella. And you can always dial up the Stein line at the Stein line. Over the next hour, we want you to vent your frustrations in the chat as well. I see a lot of them already in there. Let us know your thoughts on what happened tonight as the Mavericks, who were down going into the fourth quarter. I'm not going to lie to you. This show is going to probably be off the rails. I'm upset. Bobby's not happy. We're all not happy. You can let us know how unhappy you are. But the Mavericks, who were down by 14 going into the fourth quarter, used what was a furious comeback to eventually take a lead. Unfortunately, the defense failed them in this
ambulance.
Yeah. Sounding the alarms.
But not for me.
They're sounding the alarms
it's showing up for the Mavericks.
the DLLS headquarters here as the Mavericks, who were able to make a comeback, as again, they were down 14 at the end of 3. They used a 14-2 run to take what was a 2-point lead and eventually tie the game at 113 with 27 seconds left after a Klay Thompson 3-pointer. But John Collins gets the game-winning dunk with 6 seconds left. Naji Marshall airballs a corner 3. The Mavericks have now lost their last 4 straight games by a combined total of 8 points, gentlemen. One word or a few words to describe what we saw tonight.
This sucks.
This sucks.
I don't want to be here talking about this game. I flew all the way back from California. I could have stayed in California. I could be in California right now. I could have skipped this show. I don't want to be here talking about this game. This is not, I don't enjoy this. Sucks.
I think that the second half of this game was a microcosm of every game they've played, as microcosm of the whole season. Inexplicable turnovers, inexplicable mistakes on offense, inexplicable mistakes on defense, some inexplicable players being on the floor at times, inexplicable decision making, and then all of a sudden they still are somehow in a position to win the game, and then they're like, no, I don't want to do that. I don't want to win. Please, you take it. And here we are.
I mean, I thought the homestand was bad.
This is
the
worse.
way this ended.
So worse.
Like to lose all 3 games in one possession fashion. I mean, on my Substack, I just took a peek at it. One of my loyal readers asked, when was the last time a team in 4 straight games had a chance to, win or tie and came up empty every time? And we're going to have to find a research arm that can look that up, because I certainly don't have it memorized. I mean, 12 games in, crisis is too strong, but man.
To this point of the season, I think different groups of fans have blamed different aspects, different parts of the team for them disappointing, for them not being up to the standards that we expected. I'm not saying everybody's going to do that now. I think everybody may be realizing that every single part of this team is to blame at this point. Pretty much every single player, every aspect of the Mavericks was to blame tonight. Utah's the worst team in the league. Just about. Certainly the worst team in the Western Conference. Dallas just had to not F up consistently, constantly, over and over. Look, Klay Thompson, he didn't show enough to finish, to close the majority of the fourth quarter. Derek Lively, this is not your rookie season. This is not November of your rookie year. You cannot get fouls like that. You have to stay in the game. We saw how important it was once he was finally in the game. He was a plus 11. He was only on the court 17 minutes. That has to be better. Naji Marshall, you shot 40% last season. Has he made a single three this season?
4 for 25.
4 for 25. It feels like, you have to be able to make
Naji Marshall
a three.
has been one of the bright spots on this team.
He was good again tonight.
He was very good tonight.
But
you
4 for
have
25.
to make a three.
That was a he shot it really well last season, and there's been no shred of a carryover. Sorry,
Daniel Gafford, you're the one talking about effort, about energy.
Oh my God.
And it seems consistently like a lot of the rebounds, a lot of the issues that stem from that is directly at the feet of Daniel Gafford. You're the one talking about this. Jaden Hardy, I'm not even going to talk about...
What the hell were you doing tonight?
I'm not even going to talk about the defense. He is not a good defensive player. That is who he is. But you have to be a better offensive player. You have to make threes. You have to take threes. He passed up some threes that should have been taken. He took some threes where, he had time to get on balance, get on rhythm. He turned it over 3 times. That's not good enough. Spencer Dinwiddie, I don't even think that, fans should be mad at Spencer Dinwiddie. He's just very clearly not the player. We talked a lot about, okay, maybe he can sub in. Maybe he can like kind of fill in when one of the players is out, one of Luka and Kyrie. No, he can't. That's not the player he is anymore. 2 years ago, who he was 2 years ago, 3 years ago. He's not that player anymore. So that's over.
He's 4 of 19 in his last 5 games.
The one source and the one source of consistent solidity all season wasn't out there tonight.
Yeah,
and they missed Kyrie Irving.
There's still one person I haven't named, Luka Doncic. Much better offensive game, more akin to what I want to see, especially in the second half. For the most part, I thought that he was good offensively. Luka Doncic, 2 things. Last season, you used to be a player who could single-handedly go win games against bad teams for the Mavericks. Dallas was right to spend all offseason trying to make sure that wasn't what was required of him. But he still has to go do that sometimes. In a game like this, in a situation like this, when Kyrie isn't available, and when there's multiple injuries throughout the team, when Exum is still unavailable, when PJ Washington is out, Luka still needs to be that guy. He's not able to be that guy. And that defensive possession at the end, horrendous. Just absolutely, there's no defense to what happened there. It was not the only defensive possession that he mucked up. The coaching is absolutely at blame, just like all these other names that I've just rattled off. The coaching is to blame. This coaching staff used to get far more than the sum of the parts out of the defense, out of the defensive players they had available. This is not doing that. This is a very bad defensive team. This is, I don't care where they sit in the standings and in the rankings. What I have seen from this team through 12 games has been very, very poor defense. And we talked all summer about how important it was to get off to a quicker start. I am sure that this team in the second half of the season is going to put it together. This is not a horrible team. They are a horrible team right now. They're going to put it together just like they always do. I absolutely still believe that. But that is going to set you up for the same types of failure that you have in the postseason because you don't have home court advantage, because you have a tougher road throughout the playoffs, because Luka and Kyrie are having to expend so much energy to get them back to the point that they need to be to make the playoffs, to get a decent seed, to avoid the play-in tournament. You are setting yourselves up for the exact same situation that we have seen consistently in Dallas. It's just there's blame everywhere. There is blame basically every single player. Quentin Grimes, you did a good job. Would have been great to hit one more 3 in the second half. That's the only person I have only nice things to say about. Actually, Dwight Powell, weirdly enough,
Dwight Powell
kind
played
of
well
good.
tonight,
Yeah.
He's having a sneaky good season.
Yeah, like low key, he's been doing pretty well so far.
Yeah,
I mean,
blame everywhere.
Can I piggyback up what he said?
Yeah.
So I don't think that the season is over, right? I think the Mavs are ultimately going to be fine. The problem is you ship some losses like these 4 in a row by 1 possession where you very easily could have and maybe should have gone 4-0. Okay, that is survivable. But like Tim was saying, whenever Luka's having to play 46 and a half minutes a night in March just to get you into the plan or get you maybe sneak in the back door into the top 6, and then they have nothing left for the first round, or you have to have PJ Washington shoot 60% from 3 for a whole series to win a series like they did last year. Then that's whenever you're going to be feeling it. Like, we're feeling the losses right now. It's very annoying. It sucks to watch. It is not fun. It is really irresponsible of a team with supposedly that has realistic title aspirations to be blowing games like these 4 in a row. But when they'll really be feeling it is in February, in March, and in April, when they're having to overpay to save their season and when they're having to overplay to save their season. You just cannot be doing this. This is Icarus. You are this close to the sun right now, and it is not going to get any easier from here because they're already behind in the tiebreakers in almost every single team in the West right now, and so it's going to be really tough to scratch and claw their way out of this unless they get their act together.
Plus, there's a cloud now. There's a cloud that they're going to have to deal with, and there's a noise that they're going to have to deal with, and that takes energy and takes something extra out of you. I mean, it's just been a flat out disappointing. Again, we came on the air on August 26th, had a month lead up to media day, spent like 83% of that month just saying they got to get off to a good start. They got to get off to a good start. And this has just been the antithesis of a good start. And they've had so much opportunity to be in a much better place than where they are. And
they're not right now. And
it's like, Naji Marshall, 4 for 25 from deep for the season, but like he was really good tonight and moving to the bench and being, that was, he was doing most of that damage as a starter. He handles his move to the bench so well, and it's all for naught and goes down as nothing. Grimes, who just, when we last saw this team in town, his coach was super critical of him publicly. And these last 2 games, he's responded fantastically. Mm-hmm. And even that is like, okay, so those are like the most minor of positives you can strain to point to. Like, it's almost like Saturday against San Antonio, this team has to start over. And you don't want to start over 12 games in, but it's a mess. It is an undeniable mess right now.
It's a complete mess. This is a team that's now lost 4 straight games. The only other team with a longer losing streak currently right now in the entire league is the New Orleans Pelicans, who have lost 6 straight. And, of course, they're 3-9, and they're going through a litany of injuries. Obviously, the turning point in this game, which we'll get to in the next segment, which was a massive third quarter by the Utah Jazz, followed by what was a big-time fourth quarter by the Mavericks to give themselves a chance to win this game, tying it with 27 seconds left. But again, late game execution not happening. This time, it's superstar falling asleep at the wheel on the defensive end. And when it comes to this team and all the expectations that we have discussed for them going into the season, leading up to the season, for them to now smoke an entire road trip going 0-3 after losing 3 out of 5 at home, we continue to talk about it with this team. You cannot have stretches like this in a Western Conference where an Oklahoma City's 10-2, a Golden State's 9-2, the Suns are 9-3. You've got teams that are trying to run away with this thing, even 12, 13 games into the season, and now you're playing from behind and going to have to do so quite a bit. And it's not like things get any easier. San Antonio comes in here on Saturday. Wemby just dropped 50 the other night in a win for San Antonio. Then you got OKC. To think that they could try to get this turned around quickly, they got another thing coming because they got to find a way to start executing late down the stretch. Otherwise, this can continue the way that it's been so far. And obviously another disappointing loss for this team, who is now 5-7 so far this year. And again, now come home on Saturday. They take on the San Antonio Spurs. Luka Doncic in this game tonight, 37 points. The Mavericks had 5 guys in double figures, including, as what Mark and Tim have mentioned so far, really good games from Naji Marshall and Quentin Grimes. Naji Marshall in this game going 9 of 14. He had 19 points. Quentin Grimes, 5 of 9 from the field. He had 15 points going 3 of 7 from downtown. In this game, you had 10 block shots and 11 steals. And defensively, they turned it around in the fourth quarter real quick. They gave up 16 points to Utah in that fourth quarter.
Yeah, imagine if they would have played any other stretch of that game with that level of intensity.
That third quarter was...
Especially the third quarter.
Yeah. Probably their worst quarter this entire season.
Yeah, like
I think it was their worst quarter I've seen all season.
Minus 17, it was their worst differential in a quarter in a game that they tried since February of 2024, which is before the deadline. Yeah, they played really well in the fourth quarter, and in the second half they gave up 54 points to probably the worst team in the NBA. So, you can't wash away the sins of the past. Just take that one home with you. You mess around in the third quarter, and you will reap what you sow at the end of the game, guys. I mean, that's what it is. But they start games the way they've started the season. They start the season the way they start games, with no intensity. You have to go out and win the game. You have to impose your will. You have to take control. You have to seize control. You got to seize the disky, right? Like Stein said. Where's that? Where is that?
Seize the discourse, the discussion, the discography. Whose discography are they seizing?
We will find out after our first break here. We will take our first break here on the DLLS Mavs postgame show as we discuss what was the turning point in this game as the Mavericks fall 115 to 113, now going and finishing their road trip going 0-3. We'll discuss all that and more coming up next year on the DLLS Mavs postgame show.
Do y'all know about HelloFresh? I'm sure you do. Don't laugh, Tanner. I'm a little sick. With HelloFresh, you get farm-fresh, pre-proportioned ingredients and seasonal recipes delivered right to your doorstep. Skip trips to the grocery store and count on HelloFresh to make home cooking easy, fun, and affordable. That's why it's America's #1 meal kit. The holiday season is just around the corner, and we're all looking for ways to spend and stress less. Try by not watching the Dallas Mavericks as a starter. But HelloFresh also helps your stress levels. It makes mealtime nearly hassle-free with delicious home-delivered, chef-crafted recipes that come together quick and are less expensive than takeout. Whether you're craving hearty comfort food, trying to please picky eaters, or looking for calorie-smart meal plans, HelloFresh has all those options and more available on a rotating menu of 50 recipes to choose from every week. You can get 10 free meals at HelloFresh.com/freemavs. Applied across 7 boxes, new subscribers only. Varies by plan. That's 10 free HelloFresh meals just by going to HelloFresh.com/freemavs. It is highly encouraged. Oh, goodness. America's #1 meal kit. I started reading.
I did the same thing. Don't worry. I did the same thing one time.
I feel justified.
Keep going. We have 30 seconds left in this break.
Let me talk to you about Sleeper. I'll call all my ball nerds about the Sleeper app that you know for hosting the best fantasy football leagues in the game. Now allows you to put your knowledge to the test by picking whether your favorite or least favorite players will have more or less than their projected stats each week. If you pick John Collins to have a big night and over 20 points, congratulations to you. You won on Sleeper. If you think you have what it takes, make sure you download the Sleeper app. Use code DLLS Mavs to get up to a $1,500 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. So Sleeper terms are used for details. Currently operational in over 25 states. Make sure you check out Sleeper today. 2 minutes.
That was professional as hell. Bravo.
What wasn't professional was the defense that its superstar Luka Doncic played in the last 5 seconds of the game after he gave up the game-winning dunk to John Collins. And no, I'm not upset, even though I'm talking like I don't
know. Your mic is peaking like crazy right now, dude.
Well, guess what? You know what wasn't peaking? That Mavericks defense in the third quarter.
Oh, my God.
How about that?
Luka wasn't peaking on the last play either.
Like, however loud Kevin sounds on your feed right now, he's way louder to us. Like, the microphone cannot capture the depths of his voice right now.
I do want to say real quick, so Devin astutely points out as Devin tuned into the last game, we said Stein guaranteed a Mavs win. He guaranteed a Mavs win.
What an idiot.
And we said,
was.
Man, if they lose, you got to do all the ad reads. And Stein said, find the footage of me agreeing to do that. And we couldn't do it. So
also, the viewers have suffered enough. The last thing they want to see after a performance like that is me doing the reads.
Actually, that would probably be the most hilarious part of the show. Shout out to Mike Weisberg. Can you throw up his comment, Tanner, in the chat? Starting with Luka postgame. Apparently, this must be a quote coming from Luka
yeah, that's what he said, yeah.
Quote, talking about the play, of course, that John Collins had to dunk on to eventually help win the game. Quote, that was a misunderstanding. I thought I was going to go hit, and Grimes thought he was going to go hit. We misunderstood the bench. That's on me, end quote. Talking about the play with John Collins getting
Questions for Bobby and then Stein, but basketball terminology, lingo. When he says hit, that's talking pre-switch type stuff.
Likely.
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 Yeah. And pre-switching is something that makes a little bit of sense in that context, but
yeah, basically the
gotta be
idea being that Luka is on Collins, Grimes is on Sexton, and whichever player goes to set the screen for Clarkson, Grimes will follow them. So whether that's Collins or whether that's Sexton. Now, the way that Luka was positioning himself I honestly have no idea what he was doing, because he was not looking at the ball and he wasn't looking at Collins. He was looking at Sexton, which makes me think Luka thought Collins was going to go set a screen, and so Grimes would see that and then go follow Collins. But I mean, the reason that your 5-year-old YMCA coach said, see the ball and see your man, is because if you spend too long, especially an NBA game, staring at stuff that isn't the ball or your man, it doesn't matter what the scripted play is. They're just going to run the I'm open under the basket for a dunk play. And that's what happened.
Mark, is there anything you can tell me about Jason Kidd's defensive philosophy and basically the time that it takes to instill these principles? Because every season it feels like the team only gets it together in the second half of the season. He talks about Christmas. He talks about patience and feeling things out and using the regular season as a test tube. And I thought that this season would be the one where the team was set up with more depth, more talent. The team also understood the importance of getting off to quicker starts. And I understand. I've talked with Jason a little bit about this, and I do understand that this team, what they're trying to do on defense and the synergy and the connectivity that we've seen in both of the teams' deep playoff runs under Jason Kidd. That I get that it's something that can take a little bit of time, but I don't know. I'm watching this team and I just can't fathom that they're this disconnected into the season.
Nothing went to plan tonight. I mean, like Luka gave us an explanation there, but like still we could dissect it, throw it on the board, whatever. Like a player of his IQ to get that lost on a play like that is inexplicable.
Sean Sweeney was pointing on the sidelines. Like if you go rewatch the play, Sean Sweeney is pointing like this.
Yeah, I mean, and again, like tonight, like Lively, they make the starting lineup change that we were clamoring for on the last show after the last one possession defeat. That blew up in their face because Lively had foul trouble all night. The third quarter, I mean, that just doesn't resemble anything that we saw from this team post-trade deadline last year. Now, obviously, they're missing Kyrie and PJ, but like Utah has the 30th ranked offense in the league.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you guys know me pretty well by now. I don't normally bust out a guarantee. I mean, that wasn't exactly like a bold prediction. Like, did any of us even in the fourth quarter, as bad as this night was,
the Jazz wanted to give this game away.
I thought they were going to pull it out.
Yeah,
and like they lost right out. Clarkson had the 3-point play before the. I mean, it just was one breakdown when they finally got the lead in the fourth quarter. It was one breakdown after another, culminating with that last play that was a gaffe for the ages.
I mean, Luka, there was one, I think it might have been the fourth quarter too, whenever he gets switched on Sexton. And I don't know if he thought a screen was coming or something, but he just disappeared. And Sexton took a free throw. It was inexplicable. Like, these are very, very inexplicable. Just like, they not only do they defy whatever the coach is telling them or not telling them or whatever, it just defies conventional basketball wisdom. Like, you don't see the guy that has the ball and then run away from them.
Yeah.
And like a lot of guys are doing that. And Luka isn't the only one. Of course, he was caught in 4K in the last possession of the game. But like, dude.
I mean, Sean Sweeney is like a young Tibbs. He lives defense 25 hours a day. These guys are ultra well prepared for this. That's again, that's not like a coaching thing. That's that's just like
it's a mental mistake.
That's brain lock.
Yeah, and I mean the amount of times in this game, there was a play in the second quarter or this might have even been in the first quarter, where Dinwiddie's on a guy and he's late getting around a screen and doesn't contest the shot, and it's a wide open three and they miss, but he's like kind of in his feelings for giving up a wide open shot, and so he doesn't follow the ball, and the ball bounces right back to the guy that took the wide open three that he left open. And like our super chat from Tyler, shout out to Tyler B, by the way, for the super chat.
Shout out Tyler.
for the super chat.
Are there really 300 people in here? Is that a true story?
There's
Yeah.
almost 400.
Almost
Sign.
400 people.
That's
in.
awesome.
Tyler B
Hey,
brings
people
up
love to be mad.
They sure do.
Man, you should be mad right now.
Tyler B brings up Naji and Derek Jones' shooting splits, and I think those will even out. But the point that Tyler makes that really stands out to me
Read
is
the whole thing.
well, I'm going to. I'm back. Naji's shooting 17% from three, and DJJ is 45%. But this next part is the part that really is the launch point for this. Daniel Gafford is the worst defensive rebounder I've ever seen, and then he jokes Wolves versus Mavs for flag. I love that idea. Best run Luka on bench. Nah, man, this is tough. Peace and love. Hey, peace and love, Tyler.
Appreciate
Thank
you, Tyler. Thank you.
You know, I'm not going to agree that Gafford is the worst defensive rebounder I've ever seen, but like the issue that the Mavs have right now is this is a team that is not as athletic up and down the roster as they were last year. And so they're running a lot of lineups, especially now with PJ out and Gafford coming off the bench tonight, which I feel like is better for him than starting. Is the next biggest guy on the court is usually Luka. So it's like Gafford, Luka, Naji, Grimes Hardy or Hardy Dinwiddie or something. And like, okay, who is getting the rebounds there? It's got to be Gafford and Luka. They have to get every single one because they're not going to get any help from anybody else. There's no Derek Jones. Kyrie's a pretty good rebounder. He was not there tonight for his size at least.
And Luka
And Gafford are like pound for pound and not even pound for pound, just based on effort alone, the two worst box out guys on the team.
Yeah.
They're the two worst players at
My
boxing out.
phones are erupting tonight because this was the only game on the
Only
schedule.
game on schedule tonight.
The whole league watched this game tonight.
Yeah.
And like 7 different people from 7 different teams have hit me. What the F is going on with your Mavs, Stein?
No,
I
we're the toast of the town.
but
Can you
yeah.
tell him to tune into the show?
Yeah, I was gonna say, just keep sending the link
Yeah,
out.
exactly. Send them the link. Send them the link so they can turn into
We got the ops talking about us now. This is terrible.
That's okay. Low
This
key,
is very, very bad.
it's embarrassing. A couple things. So number one, the rebounding disparity tonight. The Jazz out rebounded you 40-30 in total rebounds. Utah had 16 offensive rebounds tonight. Completely unacceptable with both Derek Lively and Daniel Gafford in the lineup.
And the Mavs had 19 defensive rebounds, which means their defensive rebound rate tonight was in the 50s.
Yeah.
That's
And what's
against a team without
real
Walker
bad.
Kessler.
And if I can just add one story with this is extremely personal and probably doesn't mean anything to anyone but me, but just within the last week, I was stunned to discover that my younger son, who's in high school, loves John Collins.
Oh, wow.
I was like, what? Wait, like, where did this come from? It's John Collins, love John Collins. So, of course,
he had a good night
so
tonight.
of course it's John Collins who erupts all over.
Is that why
his
your phone is blowing up?
No, he's a Mavs diehard. He's a DLLS diehard.
Shout out
As you
to
know, the night we went over 10,000, he was very
That's right.
locked into that. But
That's
like,
right.
Yeah.
like I said, a week ago, I did not know that John Collins was even known in my household, and now he's getting free for.
Well, he put a lot of guys on
Lively
posters
blocks-
tonight.
Lively blocks the shot late. Ball goes right to Collins. Dunk.
So the average
Dude, at 28 points.
number of offensive rebounds in an NBA game this season by a team, it's 10.9 this season. 10.9 offensive rebounds. That is the league average.
Okay.
Would you guys like to guess how many games Dallas has gone under that number?
They played 12
4.
games. I'm going to go 9.
9 under?
That they've surrendered.
That
you
they've
mean.
surrendered?
Yeah. I'm saying how many times have they gone? How many times have they allowed fewer than the league average?
Oh, twice.
So you're saying 3. So you're saying 3.
Four out of
You're saying
4 out of
Yeah,
12.
Yeah, 3.
I'll say, I mean, every game?
2. Twice they allowed 7. Then it's 11, 11, 12, 13, 13, 14, 15, 18, and 18. And then what are they gave up tonight? What, 16?
16 offensive rebounds.
Yeah, that's really bad. I mean, so you watch Luka having the gaff late in the game, and look, there's going to be a lot of emphasis put on that because it was a big moment and because it was, it looked as bad as it did, and it was bad. But if like he's having those same issues as a box out guy, and I know you kind of just said that, but
Yeah.
there's too many times where he just freezes and pauses. And
No, I mean, it's literally unacceptable, dude.
Yeah.
There was a play. Naji
It has to be better.
I really like Naji Marshall. I enjoy his game quite a bit. There was a play where he was under the basket watching the play unfold. Like this is what J-Kid means when he means participate. Now I know J-Kid is catching a lot of heat in the chat right now. There was a guy earlier that must have missed Tim's spiel right at the top of the show for saying that we have doo-doo in our draws because we're not talking about J-Kid. Hey, trust me, J-Kid's done a lot of sus stuff, but
bringing the back that word.
He's talking about participating. That's what he means. Box out someone. That is the minimal effort. It is so easy to box out. And with the way the game was being called tonight, you look over, you see Tony Brothers is the official. Everyone was fouling out. If you just back up into the dude, you will get called or you'll get over the back fouls.
It's all right.
Like you'll draw fouls. There was, by the way, there was really real quick offensive rebounds. Utah only missed as a team in this league 42 shots tonight and 5 free throws, which means there was a maximum of 47 defensive rebounds available. The Mavs came down with 19 of them, which is truly despicable. Only one team this season has grabbed fewer than 19 rebounds, defensive rebounds in a game. That was Philly on October 25th at Toronto, a game that they also lost. So we are talking about the single worst defensive rebounding performance by a team in the Western Conference this season.
You know what's ironic?
From a team with the best bigs in the West, supposedly.
Before we take our next break, both teams shot exactly 43 of 85 from the field. Both teams shot 50.6% from the field tonight. The Mavericks had a total of 30 rebounds in this game. The things got so bad that at one point, Jordan Clarkson hits a bailout three-pointer to put him up 10, and Jaden Hardy is trying to take a charge on a three-point line.
Absolutely outrageous decision.
I have never seen a player attempt to take a charge on a bailout three-pointer, and of course, Jordan Clarkson made it to put him up 10.
How many? So that was a three-pointer. How many points did the Mavs lose by tonight?
They lost by
2
points.
Interesting.
Real quick, one more thing.
Interesting.
Yes.
Bouncing off what Bobby said. We talk about effort and players giving effort, and I think a lot of the times that can go down on the coach. But I don't know what's going on.
At
out
least
there.
the people
Stars won.
Hopefully that was a
Stars won.
Hopefully that was a happy crowd swell and not
Yeah, but the people are storming the office.
Yeah.
They're like, you know, you're not criticizing the team enough. We're coming for you now.
God.
We're the closest approximation of the Mavs that they can find in the city. But I don't know. I often do think that the coaching staff is at fault for the players not giving enough effort. I don't know. I think I would lean towards Luka, unfortunately, in this case. He is the team leader.
Yes.
He sets the culture.
Yes.
He is the person at the top of the totem pole. And when Luka is not giving that effort, it has a trickle-down effect on everybody else around him. And if Luka is giving that effort and you're not, then like there's no excuse for you. That's when a coach makes the hard decision of benching someone. I don't think Jason Kidd has that ability right now. I don't think that he can, say this was such a bad play, except to Quentin Grimes apparently. But I don't think he can look at one of his centers and say, you did so poorly on this play. It doesn't reflect the standard that Luka sets for this team. And thus, we need you to be better, and we're going to show you by, not playing you in this quarter, not doing something like that. I don't know if Jason Kidd has that ability.
Yeah.
Because it is, from the top, the most important person on this team is not Jason Kidd, it's Luka Doncic. And I still, and he had a very good offensive game tonight. But I think it's pretty obvious. The team still needs more from him.
Let's take our next break here on the DLLS Mavs post-game show, where things went wrong for the Mavericks, especially in that third quarter before ultimately climbing back in it to give themselves a chance to win as they get ready to come home to take on San Antonio on Saturday. All that and more coming up next year on the DLLS Mavs post-game show.
So there was a concert nearby tonight, and there's a lot of people outside reveling in the glory of that concert. There was some sort of country and western outfit there this evening. All of those people had to buy tickets to that concert. Just like the next Mavs game you go to, you'll have to buy tickets for that too. And my least favorite thing about buying tickets is, first off, you have no idea where you're going to sit. You have no idea where your view will look like. But wouldn't it be nice if there was an app? It's called Game Time, where you could see the view from your seat before you buy the ticket. My second least favorite thing
for the Mavs, I'd like to have an obstructed one.
Ooh, that's tough.
Damn.
My second least favorite thing about buying tickets is that it'll tell you, man, this is going to run you $79.99, and then you say, okay, I'll take one, and then you get to the checkout page, it's actually like, wait a minute, how is it $400? No, you don't got to do that with Game Time. They got all-in pricing. You know what you're paying up front. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code DLLS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code DLLS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it?
Game time. Who?
I hope they use Z-Biotics before, because it's a game-changing product to use before a night out with drinks. It's called pre-alcohol. Let's face it, after a night out with drinks, a lot of us don't bounce back the next day like we used to. We have to make a choice. I have to make this choice. I can either have a great night or a great next day. That is, until I found pre-alcohol. Z-Biotics pre-alcohol probiotic drink is the world's first genetically engineered probiotic. It was invented by PhD scientists to tackle rough mornings after drinking. Here's how it works. When you drink, alcohol gets converted into a toxic byproduct in the gut. It's this byproduct, not dehydration, that's to blame for your rough next day. Pre-alcohol produces an enzyme to break this byproduct down. Just remember to make Z-Biotics your first drink of the night. Drink responsibly, and you'll feel your best in the morning. Go to zbiotics.com/DLLS Mavs to learn more and to get 15% off your first order when you use DLLS Mavs at checkout. Z-Biotics is backed with a 100% money-back guarantee. So if you're unsatisfied for any reason, they'll refund your money, no questions asked.
Shout out to over 400 people watching us live right now here on the DLLS Mavs postgame show. We sincerely appreciate it. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe.
Tyler B is back. Let's
to
go.
DLLS Sports here on YouTube.
Is that $9.99?
That is a $9.99.
Again,
That's a second.
I'll read it out.
$9.99.
Luka is the leader. This is super chat from Tyler B.
Shout out,
Luka is the
Tyler.
leader and leads his team in a negative manner. No energy, no D effort. I'm a Luka stan, but his
This is hard now.
this is hard now. Thank you. I live in Colorado now. Can't go to work tomorrow. Ooh, man. Luka looks heavier now than he did earlier in the season.
We won't speculate on that.
Yeah. We don't speculate on that stuff.
And
but,
let me tell you something, Tyler.
But yeah,
don't
overall,
you
I
ever
agree with
let
the point.
anybody keep you from getting your money. Don't do that.
That's right. Don't let them win.
Yeah,
'cause
don't
they
let Luka for
They
going to
don't
get your
want you to
cash.
go to work, dude.
Okay?
They don't want you to show up.
Yeah.
Also,
like-
for everyone listening, we will read every super chat on the show.
We will.
Just a reminder. Just a
But
reminder.
For real, Tyler, thank you for
Yes.
thank you for
No,
both your
seriously,
super chats tonight.
You're a real one.
Appreciate
but that's
you.
the thing, man. Like, it's really tough to kind of like remotely assess group psychology, right? But all we can do is talk about our own experiences. And I've never played pro sports. Obviously, I've never played sports at a particularly high level. But anytime I am playing a team sport, and there's somebody, and sometimes in my life, it's been me. If there's somebody that has a really negative attitude, or is shoulder slump guy, or is quick to light into someone if they mess up, but then whenever they themselves make a mistake, it's somebody else's fault or the official's fault or whatever. Like, that can be very demoralizing and dispiriting. And I don't know if that's happening. The Mavs went to the finals last year, and everyone seems to love playing with Luka. If you're a role player, you play with Luka, you're gonna make a lot of money. But I think that it can turn sticky situations into real messy situations sometime. And I certainly hope you're wrong politely. I hope that's not the case.
This is from Mavs Film Room, my pals at Mavs Film Room. This is Luka's 7th season, only the second time in those 7 seasons they've been sub 500 after 12 games.
Ooh.
Only in his rookie season was it worse at 4-8.
Oh boy. And in this game, obviously, we talked about the third quarter and how things went. The Mavericks allowed the Jazz to outscore them in the final 10 minutes of that third quarter, 34-14, after the Mavericks had led 71-65. That fourth quarter, the Mavericks started on what was a 9-2 run to get themselves back into this game. Of course, Jordan Clarkson hits a three-pointer and put them back up 10. But then the Mavericks go on what is a 14-2 run to take what would be a 110-108 lead after a gorgeous lob pass from Luka Doncic to Derek Lively for the dunk that had him up by 2 with 1:33 left. Jazz quickly responded themselves with a 5-0 run to eventually take the lead with 36 seconds left. And then for a guy in Klay Thompson who was not really involved much in that fourth quarter, He comes in, he hits the three to tie it with 27 seconds left at 113, and obviously we know what happened after that. After that, as far as the Luka Doncic allowing John Collins to get to the basket, and of course he gets the dunk. Let's go into the final play real quick, because we talked about how the Mavericks have lost, these last 4 games in a row by a combined 8 points. What did you think about the shot and who took the shot at the end, with Naji Marshall missing what was a corner 3, in fact, missing the basket entirely? What did you think about the play, the shot, and who took the shot at the end there?
I mean, it wasn't planned for Najee.
Yeah,
It just happened to get out to him in the corner.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I didn't mind it.
You didn't mind the shot?
Yeah.
I mean, it's an open corner 3.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, you take that
Yeah.
Absolutely.
on the road to win. And again, it's like he played so well otherwise that like there's no question his 3 ball is it is in need of repair, no question.
Sure.
They need him to be a lot closer to the Naji Marshall who shot the 3 ball in the 40s in New Orleans last season. But like I said, I don't feel good being critical when so many things are going wrong with this team. The way he has played the last 6, 7, 8 games, I don't want to go at Naji Marshall right now.
Pre-play, they ran a bunch of screens. They ran Clay off a screen. They had Luka setting a screen to try and get Sexton switch off on him. There was a Luka and Lively were next to each other and kind of
Buck from Milwaukee checking in live.
still better than Milwaukee for now, Charlie. But check back in with me on Sunday afternoon.
Saturday.
They were trying to get Filipowski switch onto Luka. Sexton refused, so Luka gets an ISO at the free throw line, and Naji and Clay exchange. So Naji goes to the corner, Clay comes up to the wing. That is so the nearest offensive player to Luka's man won't double, right? Naji being 2 passes away. In a perfect world, they don't double, and Luka ISOs Colin Sexton. But I mean, Utah's an NBA team, so they're going to double. But that also means Naji's open in the corner.
Yeah.
If Naji was on the wing, they would have doubled off him from the wing, and then he's taking a wing 3, and that's harder. So
Right.
I really don't mind it.
Thought Clay was finally going to have his moment when he forced OT, and it's like this dude can't even buy a moment. It's like he had a great return to Golden State, but it just ends with a dagger, and now another dagger.
That was tough. It was tough in both games. I mean, it was a real play though that they ran. So
Yeah.
I know.
I just wanted to make sure.
Unfortunately, there's been a lot of plays at the end of the game lately.
Yeah, exactly.
This one was they had the most time on the clock, and they also ran something that was, pretty well choreographed. It got an open corner 3 to win. So I don't know. I can't blame it.
Just wanted to make sure we cover the
As
bases
a better
on that
look
when
than
it
they've
comes to-
gotten in that same situation
True that.
almost every other time that they've been in that situation.
True that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the fact that Luka, he attacked. He was driving in for a 2, and then he just made the right play off a double.
Yeah.
As we're used to Luka doing. He is a smart player. I loved the lively lob.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. It was a situation where he gave it up, got it back, and then flowing offense movement
toward the rim.
going
Yes.
towards the rim. He's going towards the rim a lot more than he started the season. There's still a few too many heat check threes, but he's also going to have a game where he hits 8 of those, 9 of those.
Charlie Saturday says neither the Bucks nor the Mavs will be in this funk for long.
See,
I hope you're right.
I want to touch on that because we have talked about this now. This team is 5-7, and we've talked about how the West has gotten off. A lot of top teams have gotten off to a really good start. At what point do you start looking at this team? This team has been really bad in the clutch so far, not executing in late game situations. We continue to talk about, okay, this thing is going to turn around. It's going to turn around. It's going to turn around. At some point, it's got to start. When does that start? Because we're talking about a team that's going to be playing San Antonio on Saturday. They play Oklahoma City on Sunday in terms of a home road back-to-back. Like, it has to start quickly. We thought tonight could be a potential launching point for that, but then you lose this game. So at some point, this has to start turning around because the deeper and deeper we go into this, like we hit Thanksgiving here in a couple weeks, got to start figuring some things out. And if you don't, this team is going to be really in an uphill climb.
I'll put it a slightly different way. When will I start changing my tune on what I expect and believe this team will be this season?
Mm-hmm.
The first one is when they start losing games not by their own faults. And I still don't think, for the most part, that they've played talented teams, and I thought with a little bit better execution from themselves. They haven't looked out-talented for the most part this season in their losses. They showed in the fourth quarter that when all of a sudden they have their backs to the wall and they need to go put it together a good quarter, that they're able to do that. that's when I'm going to start saying, okay, this team is not as good as we expected them to be. The other time that I'm going to change my tone is when this hole that they're digging becomes too big or too much effort to dig out of and still have positive results in the postseason. And that's more at your question. I don't know when that is.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's something we're just going to feel out.
Now.
Yeah. But they're also 2 games under 500.
They're a game out of 9th, 2.5 out of 6.
Exactly.
Yeah,
This is not a hard thing to dig themselves out if they just flip a switch. And I still believe that's possible with this team, especially if they get healthy, especially if PJ Washington is back this weekend. But yeah, I don't know. It's
you
something
are,
we're gonna
however,
feel out.
though, behind in tiebreakers on teams 2, 3, 4, and 5 in the conference, and you played the number 1 team on Sunday on the second night of a back-to-back in their gym.
And I don't feel good about any of that right now.
Yeah, and that's if you can beat San Antonio, who is actually ahead of you in the standings right now. So we'll see, because like if you're only 2 or 3 games behind a team, but you've lost the tiebreaker, you're really 3 or 4 games behind the team.
Yeah.
So like it gets late early, man. It gets late early. You can't be messing around. The basketball gods they are forgiving, but they are not without justice.
Real quick before we take our last break here, Mark, you had said that your phone has been blowing up about, hey, what the hell is going on with the Mavericks? Is there one that you could possibly share, like, of how folks are like taking what's going on and what they saw tonight?
No, I think they're looking to me for answers. Like
Yeah.
I have some magic wand that can figure out how they can. Like I said, I mean, I don't care. I did the guarantee, and when I saw that Kyrie and PJ weren't playing, it's not like I felt a need to rescind it. I didn't think there was any circumstance in which they were not coming home with a win tonight.
Yeah.
So put me at the front of the befuddled line.
Next time, I'm going to put you at the line of these reads, too, when this happens again. So this time, we're going to make sure we guarantee that
The
on.
viewers have suffered enough. They do not
I wasn't here for that.
You can tell them about being a
Yeah.
diehard
That's right. We'll do
I
that.
will say,
You want me
can
to
we go back
freelance
to the
a
wide
diehard
shot
read?
super quick?
if you want to.
Mark, do you notice anything in the background?
Oh, he hasn't even noticed, has
I
he?
noticed them, but I actually agreed with as you were hanging them. I agree with what you said. Like this is not the right mood to be.
But I did bring back the
Captain's hats.
captain hats.
Play hats.
Captain's
Yeah,
hat.
I guess for the podcast audience, for the visual audience, I was just going to see if people spotted them. But for the podcast
to
audience, yes, I
John's
brought some
side,
clay hats back, and then they're adorning the backdrop of our studio.
You
That's
know,
all I had.
I went through a shipwreck phase on YouTube. This is
A
nothing like
shipwreck.
those, but I did watch I watched a lot of videos about how ships sink.
Yeah.
Well, the
I did that with
Mavericks
airplanes.
won
I will
sunk
say this:
tonight.
someone who knows more about basketball than me
Mm-hmm.
and does appear to be watching us hit me and said that we were too easy and that Luka should have taken that last shot no matter what, and not
The Kobe thing to do
not pitched it to Naji.
Is to not give up the ball at all.
if you're going for glory, you dribble toward the double team and then you turn over your left shoulder and you do a fadeaway. The problem is Luka doesn't really do that a lot. He's more go over the right shoulder. So it would have been an uncomfortable shot for him. But going for glory would have been neat. Or you could spin over your left shoulder, jump, hold ball over your head, make eye contact with Naji. He instinctively cuts, then boom. And then it's the Jazz that give up an open dunk.
None of those things happened, unfortunately. Let's take our final
How
break.
did they
here.
lose this game?
I don't know, Mark.
Very
That's what you're
carefully.
here for. That's what you're here for.
They've had 3 games of practice.
Let's
They
take
were
our
ready to lose this
final
one.
break here of the DLLS Mavs post-game show. More on how things went down between the Mavericks and the Jazz, and a quick look ahead to Saturday as the Mavericks return home to take on the San Antonio Spurs. All that and more coming up next here on the DLLS Mavs post-game show.
Hey, being a sports fan is full of highs and lows. 5-6 months ago was some of the most fun we've ever had watching Mavs basketball. And right now is probably the furthest away from the most fun we've ever had from watching Mavs basketball.
Oh, boy.
But in
The
between
worst day of your life, some might say.
maybe in between all the highs and the lows, the highest highs and the lowest of lows, we're going to keep bringing you content here at DLLS Sports. And if you want to support what we're doing here on YouTube and on our website, if you go to alldlls.com/diehard or just click the link below in the description, it will take you to a page where you can sign up to join the ranks of the diehards. To do that, you need to pledge to give us less than $7 a month for a year, and we're going to give you a bunch of stuff in exchange. We're going to give you a free shirt right when you sign up. Boom, you got 35 choices. Choose wisely. But hey, we're always making more as well, so be on the lookout for those, and you get a discount on future shirt purchases. Whenever you do that, you get a discount on future events. We got some of those in the works. We got some watch parties coming up. We got some good times ahead. But more importantly, you get access to the Die Hard Discord Lounge, where you can hang out with other diehards and go to a nice and wholesome spot. I would say it's even the Discord is even more wholesome than Blue Sky. Can I say that?
Sure.
Can I say that?
Said.
It's even more wholesome than Blue Sky. Or if you're a reader, all right, you can go to our website and read all the paywalled content, all that premium written content from people like Tim, from people like Sam Nessler on Stars, Jeff Wilson on Rangers. How about Clarence Hill and Joe Hoyt breaking Cowboys news all
Physical
over the place?
diehard card, I believe.
Physical
That's right.
diehard card as well. There's so many bennies coming your way
Benny's
through the posty. Whenever you sign up to become a diehard. So that's one way that you can support us. But hey, if you don't want to do all that, if you don't want to go through that trouble, then the least you could do is like the video, click subscribe, ring the bell icon, share it with all your friends, leave us a nice review. I would really appreciate it. So thank you for your time.
Appreciate you joining us here at the DLLS Sports family. Let's get to 2 comments. Number 1, we'll get to this one first. From Ardell, what is that relic Stein is using for a computer? A World War II tank IBM?
So you're familiar with the nuclear suitcase that presidents always have in their vicinity?
Don't hate
NBA reporter equivalent.
Ardell, do not hate on my ThinkPad.
If that's what we're calling it. Let's go to...
It says right here, ThinkPad.
Scat Pack says, don't hate on ThinkPads, bro.
Woo, Luka could have used one of those with 5 seconds left, but I digress. Let's go to the super chats that we have from Liz A5280. Quote, to hate when Luka when he goes against my Nuggets, but cheer for him to win all other games. Frustrating to see him struggle. Feels like internal issues, ?
No, I wouldn't.
Oh, you're
wouldn't
doing the
say
holding
that.
mic thing early, huh? Okay. All
Well,
right.
it depends on what do we mean by internal?
Yeah,
What do we mean by
what we're
internal?
talking about. And so, but
I mean, I'm
look,
not not things going wrong in his personal life, but clearly there's like it's some sort of a mental or emotional, like that is a mental lapse, obviously.
Yeah.
If that's what Liz is alleging.
Yeah, and look, like he has said time and time again that he wants to improve in these areas. He wants to improve mentally. He wants to improve emotionally. He wants to improve with the way that he talks to referees, and then he'll improve at it for a while, and then he'll lapse back into it. He got a couple texts earlier in the year, and then he got a little bit better about that. Although not every game his body language has been the best. I will say I didn't really notice it tonight.
It was fine tonight.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty solid tonight. But then, and he replaced, he solved or improved one issue, and then the defensive lapses were there instead. And so it's look, man, I'm not saying it's easy to be an NBA superstar. I'm not saying it's easy to commit to completely overhaul life decision, lifestyle choices that Dirk Nowitzki, for example, has been very open about what the many things he gave up in his life to be the player that he was. And every superstar can do it a little bit differently. I'm not saying it's easy, but I'm saying it is something that he talks about wanting to do. And that's why I feel it's fair to grade him on that. Because this is the curve, this is the echelon that he has reached as a player. And this is how he demands to be graded, sometimes with his words, but certainly on the court. And so, yeah.
He is not immune to criticism as a superstar.
I listed just about damn near every single player and person on the team that also shared blame for this defeat and for the slow start to start the show. But a lot of it does come down to Luka, just because of his prominence on this team. So I don't think it's an eternal issue. I don't, as far as I know, there is nothing like, there's no drama or something swirling in the locker room, anything like that at all. I have heard nothing of, not that I would say if I had, but I've heard nothing of personal issues or anything like that. I think this is just a continuation of what Luka is trying, the ways that he's trying to better himself and improve. And, it's not a linear thing, but from here in my chair and, to the extent that I can say it, I'm rooting for him to solve this stuff and figure this stuff out as time goes on, just because it's clearly something he's trying to solve. And I think on a personal human level, that's a thing that's worth rooting for. And I would love to see a Luka who is the best version, that I think all of us believe he can be on a nightly basis or on a near nightly basis, because I just don't think we've seen that so far this season.
Man, it's always good to humanize players. That's really important because they are humans. But at the end of the day, some of the things he does on defense, just like, dude, you just got to try harder. That's it. You just have to try harder.
And if there
or reallocate your energy to where you.
And that's what I was going to say.
Like everybody, like Giannis plays hard on offense. Giannis plays harder than Luka on offense, and Giannis damn sure plays harder than Luka on defense.
Right.
You know,
and whenever his usage is down and his touches are down, and like, I consider that a good thing. I know some people
falling down as often. He's not getting hit as often. So
right.
Any free throws.
Right. The whole idea was reallocate some of that energy onto the defensive end. You know, Josh Bowe from Mavs Moneyball made a really good point where every single star of a championship team has had a lower usage than like Luka's normal usage. That's how you win championships typically.
Yeah, you got to be at your best in May and June. And so, you know, you have to, and like Giannis is a one-of-one athlete of all time. So is Luka. You know, Giannis is one of the best players that we've ever seen. So is Luka. So Tim, you made a really good point, because like whenever you reach that level as a player in this league, Derek Harper, those are the guys you're graded against. Those are the guys.
Yeah.
The LeBron Jameses, the Kobes, the Michael Jordans. Those guys have won a lot of championships. They've done a lot of stuff. Luka's not to that level yet, but he is one of the very few players that I've ever seen in my life that could be at that level. You know, and so whenever you're good enough, whenever you're a complete enough player to be at that level, that is the curve we're holding you to.
I think some of the things, and I'm sure some fans would agree with this too, and we're watching Luka now in his 7th year. The same issues that we continue to talk about this player in a lot of ways hasn't changed, positively and negatively.
Dude, you were interviewing me on the radio about this stuff in 2020.
That's where I'm going. Like, we are as an offensive player, Luka Doncic is one of the great scorers and players that we have ever seen in this league. There's no doubt about that. But when we're talking about becoming a complete player, a complete superstar, you've got to show it on both ends of the floor. And that has gone from every player, from Jordan to whatever great player you want to name, they were able to at least be competent on both ends of the floor. That's not happened for this superstar as of yet. Until that level of commitment goes to the defensive end to a respectable level, not even a respectable level, this will continue to be a conversation that we will have with him. And personally, I'm over it. This is not a player who should be talked about in the ways that we do because of how talented he is, but because we continue to see the same things over and over again. That criticism is fair based off of what he has done or not done on the end of the floor. Jason Kidd speaking to that final play as well after the game, courtesy of Mike Curtis of the Dallas Morning News. Quote, communication, there was a lapse there. It happens, and they take full advantage of it. We got to be better there, end quote. So Jason,
that is a very true statement. They have got to be better there. I mean, here's the thing. So like, obviously, some of this is out of bad faith, and it's kind of one of those things where like the baseline of this conversation is that Luka is one of the, if not the best offensive players in basketball. He is one of the best players of all time already. Like, you can't load up all the qualifiers anytime you're about to say something that is critical of the guy. But like, it is understood here. We here at DLLS Sports think Luka Doncic is an amazing,
incredible player,
amazing basketball player. Truly one of the most gifted, one of the most fun players I've ever had the pleasure to watch. I've been following the league for literally my entire life. But like he and Kyrie, to their credit, locked in on defense and became just like pretty fine defenders. And the Mavs won almost every single game for 2 months and went to the finals. Like, that's all we're asking. That's all we're asking. Don't let Colin Sexton take a wide open 15-footer. Don't look at Colin Sexton 30 feet from the rim and let John Collins have a dunk. Like, that's what we're talking about. I'm not talking about Luka needs to get better at helping from the nail and applying pressure on the ball, and his digs aren't good enough, and he doesn't jockey. No, I'm literally saying don't get out of players' ways when you are guarding them. That is what I'm asking. I'm not asking him to be Giannis. I'm asking him to be fine.
This is a night where I really wish one of us was there, because there needs to be a lot more found out from on the ground. Like what this would definitely be a post-game aftermath that needs chronicling.
Ooh.
Let's get to a couple super chats. One from Tyler. He dropped in another one, a $4.99 super chat. Do I get a t-shirt?
Tyler, you go to alldls.com/diehard, buddy, you'll get so many shirts. You'll get one shirt.
From from super chat, Ardell, he says, does Nico Harrison make a move if this team keeps losing? I think we're a little early into the season before we start thinking about.
I think Nico might make a move no matter what. He hasn't gone a trade deadline without making one.
That is true. He is true. He has always continued to take swings to make this team that much better. I think for that question from Ardell, I think it speaks more to about the expectations that the Mavericks aren't meeting this early in the season to even think about, hey, what needs to be improved on this team. But honestly, I think it can happen from within. I mean, you did not, let's reset it. You didn't have Kyrie Irving tonight. He missed the game with a shoulder injury. PJ Washington still out as he's dealing with a knee injury as well. Hopefully for PJ Washington, his return is coming sooner than later, because we've talked about how poor this team has been at times defensively. And you made the point throughout the course of, getting up to the season that PJ Washington may be their most indispensable player because of what he does on the defensive end and what he's able to bring on that side of the floor. They're going to need him to be able to start turning this thing around as well. But once this team gets fully formed and healthy, we can hopefully start to have a better assessment. But as you guys made the point earlier before, during the pregame show, you didn't need Kyrie Irving to win this game tonight. It simply came down to your inability to execute when you needed to. And that poor third quarter really sunk you because, again, you were playing from behind to try to give yourself a chance to win, and you weren't able to overcome it.
Yeah, where was the want to?
It showed up in the fourth quarter, too little, too late, and then the execution.
They really locked in for one quarter. That's good job, guys. That's awesome.
Quentin Grimes was really good.
And that's where
he dug out and got a steal that led to quick points.
Yeah.
Jaden Hardy was a little bit better in the fourth. Dearth of options.
I guess.
Can I go to my set real quick? Can I go to my set?
Go ahead.
So
I was about to lay into
every single year, I'll give a positive, but this is a negative thing with the positive light. Every single year, I do a thing where I track how many times the Mavs have in a single game posted a defensive rating that is worse than the number 30 ranked defense in the league. So how many times during a season do they play defense at the worst level? So far this year, they have played defense at the worst level in 4 games. They are 0-4. They have played defense not at the worst level in a game 8 times. They're 5-3 in those games. Over the course of the season, that's 50 wins, 51 wins. You're probably playing game 1 at home or in the 4-5 where it's a toss-up. But when you defend at the worst level like they did tonight, when you defend at the worst level like they did against Denver, when you defend at the worst level like they did against Phoenix and against Indy, all very close games. 3 of them, they had a chance to win the game at the buzzer. They've lost. Don't be the worst. Don't be the worst. That just goes back to the Luka thing. I'm not asking you to be a legend on defense. Just be fine. Just be fine. I'm sorry, Kevin.
No, you're absolutely right. I think that is a great way to look at it. And if you're able to give yourself a chance by playing, just look. We're not asking.
What about Hardy though?
Look, man, my man's awareness was on a 10 tonight, and I'm not talking about like 1 to 10 in a positive way. No, it was my man. I mentioned a little bit earlier. Trying to take a charge on a bailout 3-pointer that Jordan Clarkson hit. At one point, my man caught the ball on the corner, stepped out of bounds. There's no awareness. There's a lot of things that you can complain about based off of what happened tonight, but just the simple things. Bobby, you've talked about this. The details, the small things, the little things are the difference between winning and losing games. They lost this game by 2 points. One of those could have been eliminated. Those points could have been eliminated if you're not trying to take a charge. And then give Clarkson credit for making the shot, but at the same time, come on, man. We got to have a little bit more awareness when it comes to where you are, time, space, and situation when it comes to both the offensive and defensive end. And I know someone in the chat had made the point, look, there's 70 games.
Charlie Saturday.
What Charlie got to say? Let's see it.
Last time I was in here, y'all were hyped about Gortman getting the 2-way.
Hey,
the NBA comes out of
Charlie off the top rope.
Charlie,
okay.
You want to know what I said back then? I said that Jays Gortman, is a better player than Spencer Dinwiddie. Prove me wrong.
So I was about
Prove me wrong, bud.
I was about to chime in. I think that we can probably all agree that potentially Markelle Fultz or Dennis Smith Jr. might have been a better use of that
We all
roster
said
spot.
that at the time.
Yeah.
And
so
it would not be easy to get one of those guys in here right now. The
Although
Mavs are right up against the apron. They would have to clear money.
They're
off
both
of their
they're
books.
both free agents, but Dallas roster wise, not structurally, but
Financially, they're hard
Financially.
capped. They would have to trade. They would have to trade away money. They'd have to make money disappear. Not
Yeah.
easy to do right now.
Maybe think about what Mark had said at one point, because who was the other player that the Mavericks were considering at one point?
Taylor Horton Tucker was on that list. Dennis Smith Jr. was on that list.
And Horton Tucker can barely see time on the floor in Chicago right now. So, yeah. Positive things before we get out of here. Anything to take away from this game as we look ahead to the Mavericks getting ready to take on San Antonio on Saturday?
Maxi Kleber, Derek Lively lineup, super duper ultra active on defense, and it is a shame that Lively spent this entire game in foul trouble. That's
what I'm saying. Is like
really
we've been clamoring for this lineup change for
Mhm.
how many shows, and it's like
all of them.
Right.
and it's like it didn't even. I mean, the foul trouble was immediate.
yeah, I mean,
And the second half, the two fouls in the second half were even faster.
if Derek Lively plays 30 minutes, Dallas wins this game.
Mm-hmm.
That's not an excuse for losing this game just because he played 17.
Can I respond? So, Gunga, thank you for tuning in and watching the show. And you've been really active in the chat, but you've made the point a few times. The Mavs have used 30 lineups. They've actually used 184 different lineups this season. The Golden State Warriors have used 196. So, counting lineups is that is a fool's errand. That doesn't really mean all that much.
Yeah.
Over 190 different lineups.
Yeah. No,
It's-
I mean, a
it's
lot of
easy
them
to
are for
tally
like
up.
Yeah.
garbage time.
Yeah. That's wow.
Positives. Tim brought the hats back.
That is a good
Shout
one.
out to you, Tim.
That's a good one.
Appreciate you.
All right, let's get out of here.
Oh, one last thing.
Oh.
One last thing. Hey, it's a long season. There's going to be a lot of really crummy losses. This might actually be the worst loss of the season. Just think about that. No losses will be worse than this.
You would hope so.
Give it 48 hours.
I really hope so. Even the best teams lose 20 or 25 games. I think the Mavs might lose more than that this season. But if they only lose 20 games, we're already a third of the way there. So think about that.
Okay.
All right. I don't know if that's. I don't know if that was the positive that you was trying to cook on.
That might have been smart. Sorry, I've stopped thinking for the night.
We're
which is
already
why
a
I'm trying
third
to
of the
get out
way
of here.
through the bad. It's all up
I
from
need to
here.
go. I need to go take NyQuil.
55-10. Here we come.
We'll let Tim go do that. But first, we want to thank all of you for joining us here on our postgame show. Well over 400 of you watching us live
thank you
here.
all. Thank you
Sincerely
all.
appreciate that through the good and the bad. A lot of bad right now, but y'all are good, and we appreciate all of you for hanging out with us here on the DLLS Mavs postgame show. We'll be back on Saturday as the Mavericks welcome in the San Antonio Spurs as they will continue their rivalry. That game will tip off at what time? I forget all of a sudden.
7:30.
Is that right? You don't sound too confident about that.
That was a 6:30 game.
That game will tip off at 7:30. Yes, that game tips off at 7:30.
Oh my God, I'm so glad.
At the American Airlines Center. Our pregame show will begin at 6:45. So tune in with us at 6:45 p.m. on Saturday. We are off tomorrow, so the next time we'll be back on air with you will be on Saturday evening at 6:45 p.m. with game time at 7:30. For our national NBA insider, Mark Stein, our Mavericks analyst, Bobby Corella, a very sleepy Tim Cato, our Mavericks beat writer. I'm Kevin Gray. We are DLLS Mavs. Appreciate you joining us here on DLLS Sports. Y'all be good. Peace.
We all silly like the mayor.